Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Thursday, and to do the final Wrestling Inc. Daily of 2021, at least live, it's our very good friend, Paul Pratt, a.k.a. Polio Del Mar. Paul, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
What a fun way to end the new year, or to bring in the new year in 2021.
Yeah. We're going to burn it down here today. There will be a smoldering wreckage of what was before left in its path. We're going to have a great time. Is that, I don't know, maybe too dramatic. That didn't seem fun.
That sounds like that sounds like an arson conviction waiting to happen. But sure, yeah. I mean, I suppose I'll play, complicit, whatever.
Sure.
I'll play a part in that.
You know what? I think, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like if you want to go out there and leave an iTunes review to help close out the year with us, arson conviction waiting to happen. What an iTunes review that is for us.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, do that. And if you're, by the way, let's do this in audio form. I'm trying to remind everybody, we record this live Monday through Friday, except tomorrow. We'll have tomorrow off. Over on all of Wrestling Inc.'s social media platforms, 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to know how to watch us live, I never say it on the show, that's how you do it. You want to be a part of it? You want to come over, join the comment section on YouTube,
Absolutely.
Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, any of that. You could be like Samantha here, who says hello, Elizabeth Fox. Also, hello, everyone. Ricky's here. Hello, Wrestling Inc. family. Adam Yarborough. Hello, Nick and Paul. See, a lot of people just saying hi. Just saying hey. You know?
That's how, if you are one of our avid listeners on iTunes or any other podcast platform, if you want to participate in the podcast itself, jump onto Wrestling Inc. socials live, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, join us, everybody. Let's have a party here today. We have a lot of news, some great news to get to here from the past 24 hours. Some interesting news, I should say. Maybe not all great. But at the end of the show for everybody, we'll dive into the mailbag, and we're going to close out our Winkley Awards. We've done tag team, male pro wrestler, female pro wrestler 2021. Today we're gonna name our person overall, man, woman. Is it going to be who is the professional wrestler of the year, right? So
yeah,
great, exciting, love this category. And of course, before we get to the mailbag and we get to the news, I want to take a moment here to send our best out to Jake the Snake Roberts, who has revealed he's contracted COVID-19. For anybody who's wondering where he got it, he's making it pretty clear he doesn't think he got it at AEW. He believes he got it from a friend or at a store. Really kind of went out of his way to praise AEW, the way they've dealt with his situation as he is immunocompromised, having battled cancer. So very unfortunate. I hope this is not. I hope this is just a bump in the road for Jake the Snake.
I believe it will be. Jake is definitely a fighter. If he can fight his way back from all the demons that were a little bit self-imposed, I think that this is just one of the next things, that he's going to check off as an accomplishment for him. Jake Roberts, actually, probably the first person I ever remember thinking of as my very favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jake, he's awesome. He's really cool to be around, too. Like, I've been around him since he's been cleaned up. I knew him a little bit before that, and he was, less engaging. But he's a pretty nice guy. I like hanging out with Jake.
For those who are curious, Jake Roberts became my favorite wrestler well before he went to WWF at that time. He's part of my favorite angle ever, where he was feuding with Dick Slater and was sprayed in the eyes, blinded, and ended up DDTing Dick Slater's valet, Dark Journey. It was my favorite angle, favorite thing that ever happened in wrestling.
Hey, all right. Well, look, there you go. Digging deep here today on the Jake Roberts trivia. And yeah, he's got a new podcast I'll help him promote here real quick with DDP that's debuting this Tuesday, The Snake Pit. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to record and address this or if it's pre-taped and they're going to release it then. But if you want to show Jake some love, it's a great way to do that. Go support him and DDP, The Snake Pit. That debuts this Tuesday. All right, let's get to it. News you can use. News that'll leave a bruise. Man, caught us all out of left field yesterday. Toni Storm being released by WWE. Now, Fightful saying many people within WWE were blindsided by the news that Storm actually asked for her release, which we touched upon yesterday. Now, it was noted by one source how it would have been difficult for WWE to justify not granting someone their release after several rounds of budget cuts in the last year. The Observer going on to say they believe that she left simply because she was burnt out. What's your take on the latest revelations here on Toni Storm leaving WWE?
I'm interested to see or find out more about this as it's revealed, because I'm curious how an individual is burnt out when they haven't done, you know what I mean? Like, if she's burnt out by this schedule, she may not have been cut out for a WWE travel schedule. But I was very surprised and taken aback by this. We just seen her, participating in a rather high profile series of, stories with, and a very high profile match with Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Just days before this. So very shocked. I think that Toni Storm is such a missed opportunity. It falls perfectly in line, in my opinion, with so much of what we've seen, like incredible talent just slipping right through the fingers of WWE for one reason or another.
Yeah, it's a tough transition. She was at NXT UK women's champion, right? Obviously saw a lot of potential there with her. Shawn Michaels, loved that brand. He worked very, very closely with that UK brand and with Toni Storm, decent, fun run in NXT. Everybody really excited to see her, get a chance to spotlight on the main roster. It's, something's got to give here, I feel like. I don't know what it is that's so different about the main roster. I mean, maybe it is just the travel. I don't know. But there's people, once they leave the developmental NXT bubble, there's a real difference. There's a change in tune and tone from the performers about that experience.
I think that it speaks a great deal probably to what we don't see in front of the cameras, and that's that a lot of these individuals come from having an element of creativity and what seems to be a very supportive NXT experience, and go to the main roster where, their raw talent may be appreciated, but all of the elements that have made them successful in the past get retooled the moment they walk onto that set. And I think that for a lot of people, that's got to be pretty disheartening. It would be for me if I was in that situation.
Well, and and it's kind of a take what you get kind of thing on the main roster as well, right? Like either they like you and they're going to use you, or you're just kind of there floating around. And for people that are in a business where athletically you're always pushing yourself, creatively you're always pushing yourself, to be left in this kind of void where you don't really feel heard or connected to the environment, you're a performer, Paul. That's a tough spot to be in there.
Yeah, and I think that we've long known that these individuals, their dream usually is to be part of WWE, but I think the unspoken part of that dream is to be successful in WWE. And I think that once they get there, and if there's no plans for them, or there's no momentum for them, there's no nothing for them there, just being part of the bigger fabric of WWE is no longer enough. They want to, these people are motivated by the desire to be a star, to show the world what they can do, to have success, win championships, prove themselves. And if you're just sitting on the bench in WWE, just having WWE superstar next to your name is just not enough after a short period of time, I'm guessing.
Well, I'll bring up George Bartley here, who just tweeted out mental health and then Vince McMahon, right? Just two separate thoughts, right? Those two bubbles. It's weird how they're right next to each other, George. If it is a burnout situation, you get there, it's just not what you expected, and you want to get out and pursue other things. Honestly, this is exactly how it should be, Paul. Like,
of course.
We had BFAB doing a virtual signing, I believe, in the last 24 hours. We got some highlights that are starting to roll out now over at Wrestling Inc. And she talks about the scary situation talents find themselves in when they sign a WWE contract, right? You're going to invest everything you have. You're going to move where you need to move. You're going to make the concessions you need to make. And at any given point, your whole life could be turned upside down. She referred to it more as an agreement than a contract. She was like, I've dealt with contracts. When you do a contract, you have two lawyers on this side of the table. You work things out. You see them to the end. You have final signatures. That's a contract. That's not really what you're getting here with WWE. And I hope maybe this sets a trend, and maybe not. I'm not sure. But if it's going to, I hope it starts to go a little bit more both ways. So if people do get burnt out, they can get out and don't find themselves, like we've heard so many times over the past, 10, 15, 20 years, people just getting trapped in a situation where they're very, very unhappy, Specifically when it comes to women, I think that
having talked to Renee Paquette and having interviewed a variety of well-known women in the world of professional wrestling, I think that they feel a specific kind of pressure as well, because they're viewed as having a distinct shelf life. Like their prime is, a certain age range. And no matter how phenomenal they are in the ring after that, the world of professional wrestling is looking for that younger woman. It's how many times do we know that, like, the perfect wife who gets traded in for a younger model? So I think that kind of is pervasive here.
Wow, 90. You're saying this is a constant 90 Big Ed 90-day fiance situation we got going on right now?
I think that for some of the men, they are aware that men are in their early mid 40s still challenging for world championships because they become that seasoned veteran, versus women who after the age of 30 are starting to look washed up in the minds of people. And I don't make it any
and Brian here saying Natty is the current outlier to that point, and that is true. How is Natalya? She takes great care of herself, right? Never went off to have kids with TJ, who works backstage, so you don't want to upset TJ because that's a whole kettle of fish right there, And she carries herself politically very well. You're not going to come across a whole lot of Natalya's, though, right?
Right, and the fact of the matter is that I think that Natty is distinct and different in this regard, because Natty is, she's a legacy product. She literally grew up spending her childhood in and around WWE. I don't think that she has any interest in going somewhere else. I think that she's probably quite content being there. I think that other people, it's very different. They come into WWE with dreams and aspirations, and they get, to my knowledge, Natty's never even competed in the indies. You know what I mean? Like there's none of that. She legitimately is a product of WWE by birth, from birth. So, and WWE, I think, probably takes exceptionally good care of her in a lot of ways, giving her a lot of passes because of that. She's like part of the family.
Yeah, Braun Breaker's going to get a lot of that, I feel like. I was reading his interview earlier today where he was like, my long-term goal at WWE is to be dependable. It's like, dude, that you can't ask for a better answer from somebody you want to invest in if you're Vince McMahon, right?
Right. Well, I mean, and somebody who wants to be dependable, who also has all the other things that you're looking for anyway. I mean, Braun Breaker checks every box, and the desire to be dependable shows that he's aware that that is the intangible that Vince most likely is looking for always.
Well, I'm going to bring up Manny Sosada's comment here. He said, could it be that Toni was burnt out from not truly being herself turned up to 11? Mercedes Martinez has talked about that on Renee's podcast. It's totally possible. And to that note, Mercedes Martinez is going to get a chance to show the world what she is like turned up to 11, knock on wood, hopefully here, as she debuted last night on Dynamite, which will bring us to our AEW block here. She helped Jade Cargill defeat Thunder Rosa to advance in the TBS title tournament. After the match was over, her and Cargill start to beat down on Rosa till Ruby Soho comes out. So now it looks like these two, little warring tag teams are going to feud a bit. But Mercedes Martinez is an AEW. How'd you feel about this one, Paul?
I love Mercedes Martinez. I think that AEW at this point should be turning the focus to bringing in very skilled, high name recognition female competitors, because their male division is overwhelmed at the moment. So let's focus on where they are probably their weakest, and that is the women's division. It's wonderful to see an experienced, good hand like Mercedes Martinez in the mix now.
Yeah, I am very happy to see her there. And it was really telling when you see her and Jade going after Thunder Rosa there. The way Mercedes throws punches and goes in for an attack, that's believable, right? And,
yeah.
I hope she comes in. I think she's going to be great. We have 2 women's titles now. She's there. Maybe a Toni Storm seeing an opening there. I mean,
I would love to see Toni Storm there.
Maybe
I would love to see Taya Valkyrie there.
Bro, Taya, I don't know why Taya's not already there. That's a no-brainer to me.
I think it seems obvious that Taya has some other plans, and those include a lot of Mexico. I think that they would appear to include return to Impact Wrestling. It would be wonderful, though. I would love to see Taya get to perform at the level of AEW.
I think I don't think you could have dropped the ball harder with Taya in WWE. I mean,
nope.
You talk about somebody who has all the abilities to connect, play to the camera, work in a produced environment like that, tell stories, make your younger talent better. Blown opportunity. But yeah, I thought
absolutely.
I thought she looked great here. Toni, and what I was going to say about Toni Storm was, let's not forget she's married to Juice Robinson now, and it's not like she doesn't have her finger on the pulse of what is going on outside of WWE land for that purpose right now. So,
of course,
all the best to her. She's in a great situation right now. Let's see. We'll take a couple comments about Mercedes. Leo Pereira. Mercedes went to WWE for the money and now has come back home. She did compete in AEW in the Dynamite or the Double or Nothing Battle Royal, I think, early on. Did she not?
Yes. So this is her return, but I don't know that Mercedes went to WWE specifically for the money. Good money and a good payday is never a deterrent to most of us.
Sure.
I think that Mercedes went to WWE in the sincere hopes that at 20 years into her career, she could solidify herself as a WWE superstar just because she was coming in with this tremendous amount of experience and history of working with so many people, being a great hand in her own right. And I think that unfortunately for people, maybe going forward, it's changing now because people want to go to AEW, but WWE has always been the place that most people, at least for the last 20 years, have wanted to end up. It's the biggest opportunity, the biggest stage.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that are still kind of, it's interesting watching people get rewired where it's like, wait, I'm not used to being in an environment where I have choices. What? So
yep.
Also coming out of AEW last night, the buzziest thing was this promo battle here between Dan Lambert and Brandi Rhodes. Now, I personally wasn't a huge fan of this. We'll get into it here in just a moment. I particularly did not like the Dan Lambert setup to Brandi coming out. Like, I get it. You're going for old school heat, but I just don't know that calling a woman, and I don't even like this word, but like, I don't think calling a woman a whore in 2021 really does anybody any favors. How says you, Paul? Am I wrong about that?
Well, at least it wasn't direct. It was alluded to, but yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I mean, he's said that she's a stripper or has a stripper name,
which also was weird, and I don't know if I'm going
to. He's called, he's referred to her or alluded to her being a whore. There was a lot of things about this whole scenario that did not work for me. So, I mean, I guess I can see where the buzz from it comes, but a lot of elements were misfires for me.
Yeah, Brandi came out then, and she called Lambert a bobblehead, ugly-ass, less talented version of Paul Heyman, which is not a bad line if I wasn't just so kind of weirded out by everything that was going on. I get that Cody's got a match with Ethan Page this Friday night for the TNT title. You got to find a way, I guess, to put some heat on this angle to baby Cody at a time when you want to just talk about Cody for a second. He did this bit on Sammy's vlog where he said he's going to take all the fans that cheer him and boo him on a bizarre ride. Something we've never seen before is what Cody says we should all get excited for right now, Paul.
Yeah, no, not excited about it, but this situation was a head scratcher on a lot of levels. First of all, we've got this sort of out of the blue confrontation between Lambert and Brandi. He's saying some things that I don't necessarily find appropriate ways to address women in the era we're living in, or any era for that matter.
Correct.
But at the same time, she's coming out and immediately pointing out that this person who is consuming copious amounts of programming time each week is not as talented as a person who is on the competing program. I was like, why would you reference Paul Heyman? And you're legitimately, this is the multiple times that now that somebody has compared AEW talent in an unfavorable way to WWE talent.
That's right. On the show. You're not Miz. You're less talented.
You're a less famous Miz.
Yeah.
You're a less talented Paul Heyman. Okay, so if these people that you're spending tons of your time pushing down my throat in many cases are not as talented as what's on the competitor, why don't I watch the competitor?
It's a great, you know what? That's a really good point, Paul. Because like the subliminal messages you send to your fans, like the stuff they don't even know that they're being like programmed to think. Like that's actually a really good point, Paul.
Or like, you know, they have gone outright and said you're not as good as what's on Friday night.
Right.
But you're chatting my ear off every Wednesday night. But you're not as good as what's on Wednesday or on Friday. I mean, why not? Like, why not? If you want to give that illusion, the easiest scenario is use somebody who's dead. Like, use somebody who's no longer a part of this. You know, you're nothing but a ugly ass, bobble-headed Bobby the Brain Heenan wannabe.
That's a great point. I like that line better anyway.
I mean, it first of all, it gives a reference that is, while definitely associated with the competition, isn't literally available by clicking the channel.
Correct.
And number one, and number two, you're referencing somebody who is an incredibly well-known. And of course, you recall that Lambert responds, "I always preferred Jim Cornette anyway."
Sure. Well, he wants to be Jim, and I think he showed us his full Cornette last night, right? He went, you never go full Cornette, and I think he went full Cornette last night on Dynamite. Elizabeth Fox here. Why is Cody not a heel? I get Lambert's a heel already, but why is AEW not playing into that? Yeah, what is it? How it's like
that was the other part of this that was a misfire for me. Yeah. You've got the person who arguably is, you know, Dan Lambert to this point has been one of the closest, truest things that they have to a heel, because people don't find him cool. They don't like him. Occasionally he gets in a zinger, but he was sitting there and I was like, found myself moderately agreeing with him, you know, like talking about the shit sandwich that Cody's serving everybody every week and stuffing down our throats and nobody loves it, that people would rather like gouge their ears out than listen to Brandi Rhodes. I mean, I don't disagree with those things. I'm like,
just don't call her a whore, right? Like, come on.
Right.
Like,
well, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I think that the easy way around that is just go with the gold digger. You know what I mean? Just like go with the gold digger line. It's the same implication, meaning that you're selling yourself like for the, you know, like you're compromising yourself for cash. But it doesn't have nearly as horrendous of a connotation or denotation for that matter as a whore.
I wonder what it's like right now with Toni and Cody, because, like, you know, we've heard the Bucks have re-signed for a couple years. Kenny, I would guess. I mean, I don't know. He was just AEW champion, but like Cody he's got a title again. He wants to do this thing that's so obviously like weird and different, and I don't know. I just want to know what that dynamic is like really like, not like what we get on Rhodes to the Top. Like, I want to know the real dynamic between Cody and Toni. I'm fascinated by that.
I think that, you know, those things never enter my mind. I don't really care what the backstage dynamics of these things are 90% of the time, as long as I'm like getting something that I'm satisfied with on TV and somebody's not coming out after the fact and kind of trying to force feed me a lie about what I just watched.
All right. Well, hey, before we get to the mailbag, there's one other big news item here that we have to close. I guess the final news item of 2021 here. Braun Strowman has a blonde beard. Now, this did a lot of traffic on Wrestling Inc. People very into it. You can see the photo if you're watching us live right now. Braun, he's got the same beard. He's bald. It's blonde now. He's holding a baby alligator that's got low-key kind of horns on it. So Paul, I would have to imagine you're a resident like fashion expert. I don't know who else would be more qualified. Thoughts on Braun and his new blonde beard?
I saw this cross my Twitter timeline and I clicked on it. My thoughts on this blonde beard are it aged him about 10 years. That's all I have to say. I also am not a fan of forcing wild animals like alligators to wear stupid hats.
Yeah. See, you know what? I said before with Lambert, he went full Cornette. Adam Shearer has gone full Kevin Nash, but like Kevin Nash in his 50s, Kevin Nash.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of this blonde beard on. I thank God that wasn't something scandalous.
Spreadsheet.
Like, I'm not a fan of the blonde beard on him. It's a little too like Santa Claus. So when Santa Claus was young, in the claymation version of Rudolph.
All right, Paul. Well, thank you for joining me at the top of the show to talk all the news today. Thank you very much for tuning in. We got a little bit more show to go here at the end of 2021. Dude, that was the perfect out. Why are you laughing at that? That was like a great. It was illustrative. I was visualizing it in my head. I could see the claymationness of Braun
It was
Strowman.
seasonal, seasonally appropriate.
Nailed it. And Samantha here saying, yes, I totally agree with you, Paul. So final mailbag of 2021 here today. Again, we're not going to be here tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow, if you want to come back, just have something to listen to on New Year's Day, I'm going to re-release the Virgil interview where he uses the word meat sauce about 150 times because I'm an idiot, and that seemed like the right way to end 2021. So
maybe I'll finally listen to that one. I was so mortified by you talking about Virgil's meat sauce. I never got around to it.
Meat sauce, right? He's a horse, you know. Anyway,
sure.
At Wink Daily is the place to go if you want to vote in our daily poll at WINC Daily. Today's poll question, last poll question of 2021. We're going to wrap it all up here. Which pro wrestler had the best 2021 across all genders? Was it Roman Reigns, Dr. Britt Baker, Kenny Omega, or somebody else? With about 300 votes here, our winner of the final Winkley of 2021 is, with 52% of the vote, Roman Reigns. 22.7 Kenny Omega, 18.6 Britt Baker, 6.4 for everybody else. We talked about the men's pro wrestler 2021. It came back up here again today. Any complaints that this man had the best 2021 of all pro wrestlers?
I don't see anything that at this juncture, at this late stage of the game of the year, I think that you could go back and look at his accomplishments and say, absolutely. And this is the same thing that those who listened in on Tuesday will recall me saying. He carried a brand. He completely redefined the way the entire world of professional wrestling thinks about him, and in the process redefined the way they think about his cousins. I think that he is by far and away the face of WWE at this point. And, beginning the year as the Universal Champion and ending the year as the Universal Champion, as one of our followers on Twitter said, it's pretty hard to argue with that.
Yeah, and Toronto 888 saying, and he's the tribal chief. Universal heavyweight? I don't know what the is.
No, I think that's the tribal chiefa.
Chiefa. Oh, let me read it again. And he's the tribal chiefa. Okay. I kind of botched it. At Ren, Adam Cole, good year. I don't know that I'd say he had the best year of anyone in 2020.
No, I mean, I think that, we saw a lot of people commenting on the Twitter about like Daniel Bryan, and you argued for Daniel Bryan, earlier in the week. And I think Daniel Bryan had a stellar year, absolutely stellar year. I do not think that Daniel Bryan did. I don't think that he defined himself or redefined himself. I think that he certainly moved around over the course of the year and put on some great matches. But I think that when I think of a professional wrestler who is the person who carried the industry throughout the year, I really have to say that this year it was Roman Reigns. And that's not because I'm a huge fan of his, and it's not because I'm even a huge fan of WWE. It's because I think that, if we look at things fairly objectively, there is nobody who walked into and out of this year looking stronger than he has.
All right. Well, we'll end it there. The final word of 2021 goes to our own Paul Pratt. I'll be back on Monday, joined by Michael Weissman to kick off 2022. Of course, next Friday, you can hear me and TK Trinidad, who we would usually do tomorrow, but of course, we're taking tomorrow off for New Year's Eve. But come on back tomorrow night, or actually, I don't think tomorrow night we're going to do a wrestling podcast because it's a recap show, but definitely Saturday after WWE Day 1. Come back here, right here, to watch the Wrestling Inc. podcast. You can find it on all the podcast platforms as well. And of course, WrestlingInc.com. We're on all your socials. And as just to kind of to get everybody excited, next month, the Rumble, right? The Royal Rumble is going down next month. I am going to be there. I'm going to be covering it. It is my first Royal Rumble that I've ever been to in my entire life. I've definitely covered the other big 4 pay-per-views, but I've never been to a Rumble for whatever reason. So very, very excited about that. We're going to have an awesome 2022. Paul, anything you want to put over here before we wrap up the show today?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you to everybody from the Wrestling Inc. family who has made 2021 such a stellar year for me. Thank you to all the people who follow me on my socials. It's become such a joy to actually converse about professional wrestling on my social media the way I have. If you are those who are inclined to go to see live events and you are in the Jacksonville, Florida area, I will be down there on Saturday, January 8th with the Love Alive charity put on by NWA and DePope. We're going to have Duval Brawl 4, and I will be an active part of that. I'm very excited. Headlining that is Gangrel versus NWA World Champion Trevor Murdoch. And then the very next morning, I fly all the way back to the West Coast to be at LA Fights. You can join us on the Game Changer Wrestling YouTube Sunday, January 9th for LA Fights Volume 2.
Awesome. And thank you all so much for an awesome 2021. It's been a real crazy twister of a last few weeks to kind of wrap up the year. I'm very, very much excited to coming back and starting next week off on a great note with everybody and making next year the best we could possibly make it. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to the team at Wrestling Inc. You're all great. I hope you all have a wonderful New Year's Eve. I'm at Nick_Houseman over on Twitter. I'll talk to you Monday. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it. All right, but if you're here live, I'm going to keep going here just a second because I have to do an intro for the Virgil thing. So stick around. Hey, this is going to be included on tomorrow's show. You ready for this? 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, it's me, Wrestling Inc. Man. Or wait, should I do the whole thing? Should I do the whole thing even though it's a retro show tomorrow, Paul? Do you want to be a part of this? We're only going to do like 60 seconds. You want to be a part of this?
Or whatever.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Houseman, joined here for this New Year's Eve special edition of the Wrestling Inc. Daily with our very good friend Paul Pratt, a.k.a. Polio Del Mar. Paul, you didn't know you were going to be a part of this. It's about to be 2022. Oh
my God, I had to get my meat sauce serving in before we start the new year.
That's exactly it. You know, we're not going to waste any time here, Paul. We know exactly what the people want. This comes to us from July of 2021. If you want your meat sauce madness, you're going to get it because here for your New Year's Eve treat, it is my interview with the one, the only, the should-be WWE Hall of Famer, the man, the myth, Virgil. Wow, that was awesome. All right, we're done. That's the whole show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you in 2022.